Hi, my name is Bash Harry and welcome to my channel. In today's video we are going to do a how I perfect my foundation base, or an updated foundation routine, I guess. You can see me go from dead inside to kind of looking semi-healthy, who knows? So if you want to learn how to do that, please keep on watching. So I've done my brows off screen just because I've always done my brows first. We're going to focus on perfecting our base. So this is mostly going to be focusing on my foundation, my concealing, and my powder. Before we get started, I do want to point out I filmed this in natural light so you can see this on my actual skin, how it looks like regularly by comparison to when I use my studio lights. I would consider these tips universal. However, you should think about your face shape and your skin type. So my skin right now is normal, but definitely leaning to the dry side. No matter your skin type, dry, normal, oily, always moisturize your skin. There is a difference between oily skin and hydrated skin. I think you should see an esthetician if you want to discuss it more. But as a general tip, always moisturize. Now I'm gonna start priming my face. You don't have to do this, but I really like having a layer between my actual skin and the foundation. Since my skin right now is normal to dry and it's summer, I really like having dewy skin, kind of that glow within. So my two favorite primers for that is the Charlotte Tilbury Brightening Youth Glow and the Becca Backlight Priming Filter. I think for this video I'm going to choose the Becca Backlight Priming Filter. I'm not taking a lot, I'm taking just about a squeeze of that and applying it just to the center of my face. And taking my fingers and really lightly blend it in. You can see that my fingers are going outwards rather than pushing it inwards. So you see just a little bit of that primer does give my face that nice glow from within. When it comes to foundation, I always say try to match your foundation. Never go too dark or too light. I've seen so many people go foundations that are way too light for them and it just makes a gray overcast, or way too dark where I feel like it's a bit of borderline blackface. So really what you want to do is try to find a foundation that suits you. In addition to finding a foundation that matches your skin tone, you want to also find a foundation that suits your skin type. So certain foundations are more hydrating and more matte than others. It all depends on your skin type. For example, as much as I love Rihanna's Fenty Beauty foundations, it just doesn't look nice on me because that's for oily skin and it's very drying on me. For today's video though, I am using the NARS Sheer Glow Foundation in Fiji. Fiji is the closest color to my skin because Santa Fe was way too dark on me. You should also think of what kind of coverage you want, if you want sheer to light, light to medium, or medium to full coverage. It all depends. This foundation is very buildable, hence why I chose it for today's video. And it's just my go-to when I want to look nice. I'm not taking a lot, I'm just doing about 2 pumps. That's about it. I'm taking my finger and I'm just swiping it on the center of my face. You can obviously use a foundation brush, but I much prefer using my fingers because I'm lazy. And anything left, I just put that on my neck. I'm taking a damp Real Techniques sponge. Highly recommend Real Techniques or the Beauty Blender because when you damp it, it expands, and I don't find other sponges work as well. And then you just want to tap it or bounce it against your skin. The reason why I focus on the center of my face is because I want most of the coverage to be there. As you can see, the perimeter around my eye is still dark. I didn't apply a lot of foundation there. In fact, I don't think I applied any. And the reason I did that is because I'm gonna apply concealer anyway, and I don't really want to cake up my face with more foundation and then concealer on top. So for concealer, I am using the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in number 20. This concealer is not darker or lighter than my skin, it is about the same. So what I like to do is apply it on the inner corner, underneath my eye, and on the sides. I don't apply the concealer too far into my eye socket. I just mainly apply it where the line starts because I know when I blend it out, it will expand and cover that area without it looking too cakey. I'm looking at my face now and I want to see what else I want to cover up. I do have discoloration around my mouth and around the sides of my nose. If I'm going out and I want my under eyes to be a bit more highlighted, I will take a concealer that is a shade lighter. This is Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define in C4, and I apply just a dot underneath my eye, just applying it on top of the other concealer. So this is the time where I'm going to contour my face. if I want to look really nice and fancy. So I'm using the NYX Sculpt and Highlight Face Duo in number 3 Vanilla Caramel, and dotting underneath my cheekbones and my temples. Those 3 dots is enough to contour the sides of my face. I don't need too much just because it's way too dark. So with the same wet sponge, I'm just gonna start blending out the contour first. I'm bringing it above my cheekbone. I'm not bringing it down, I'm bringing it up. And for the temple, I'm bringing it outwards towards my hairline. After I do the contour, that's when I take the other sponge and the other side and blend out around my mouth and nose. We're doing the same thing as the foundation. We're not swiping, we're just patting. I think you can already tell I'm doing my under eyes last. I let that set for about a minute or 2 because I really want the concealer to set in, get more heavier coverage, and then blend it out. Now I'm taking a smaller blending sponge and blending it out. Obviously you can do this with a larger sponge, but I think this gets into the crevices really nicely. And I'm doing it again, tapping it and bringing the concealer towards your eye. As I said, you don't want to swipe, you just want to pat. You want to tap it, bounce it. If you want, and only if you want, you can obviously put the concealer on top of your eye, especially if you're like me and it's darker than the rest of your skin, but it's purely up to you. I'm just gonna skip that right now and focus on concealing underneath my eye. So the thing about concealing underneath your eyes, especially if you have big eyes or eye bags like me, is that your concealer is always going to crease. No matter what I do, it's going to crease. But there are a few ways to prevent it, or at least minimize how badly it looks. What I like to do is wait until it actually creases before I set it with powder. So the setting powder I'm using today is NARS Soft Velvet Loose Powder in Eden. I use this underneath my eyes and around my face. I personally really like this one compared to like other translucent setting powders just because it has some yellow tint to it. So it's really nice for me to apply on my skin and it doesn't look so white. There's going to be creasing before you set your powder. When you set it with your powder, that's when your creasing is going to stick. So what you want to do is wait for the creasing to happen when your face or when your concealer is still wet. So I already took out the powder. That's probably enough. That's definitely enough. But before I dip my sponge into the powder, I'm going to look at my eye again, and I can definitely see that there are creases right there, right there. They're going to happen anyway. No matter what you do, they're going to happen. But it's better that you blend it out first and then set it with powder. So what I'm doing now is taking my sponge and blending that concealer away. I'm pushing it up and I'm blending that concealer away. So I blended the crease away, kind of. Not the same sponge, it's a different sponge, it's damp. And I'm packing that, not really packing, I'm just tapping it. I'm taking off the excess. I'm taking off the excess powder. I'm checking if the concealer is stayed put, no creases I can tell. And I'm just pressing it into my skin. This is not baking, it's just setting. I'm taking a damp sponge and pressing the powder into the skin, but not too much powder. This way it kind of locks the concealer in and makes your foundation and your concealer last. Let's do this again. I'm tapping the damp sponge to the powder, tap off the excess, making sure there's no creases in the concealer, and pressing it into the skin. I repeat the process wherever I applied the concealer and where I know I'll probably crease, which is around my nose and around my mouth. If you want your contour to be a bit more cut and obvious when you apply the powder, what I like to do is sweep it underneath. I'm taking a fluffy brush. This is a really cheap brush I got from a cube store years ago. It still works, I'm using it. And I'm taking just the lightest bit of powder, that loose powder, tapping off the excess and brushing away the powder or any remnants of it left. You don't want a heavy amount of powder on your skin. You don't want to apply more powder on top of your foundation. You really just want a light dusting of powder where you really do need it. So I only take the brush and I swipe away underneath my eyes to get rid of the excess powder if there's any more, and anywhere else needed. And this is my foundation base. This is how I prime, find foundations, conceal, and set my entire base. Let me quickly highlight, contour, do the rest of the stuff, and I'll be right back. The rest of my face is done. All the products mentioned and anything on my face will be listed down below. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it really, really helpful. If you did, do like, comment, and subscribe. Do let me know if you want more videos like this. I'd love to know. My name is Bash Harry, and thanks so much for watching. Bye!